This is a review of Cupid, a free-to-play visual novel, a project by Emiliori. Please note this game is rated PG-17 and contains mature themes of a sexual and violent nature. Trigger warnings include suicide, blood, gore, abuse, and bodily harm. Your personal discretion is advised. In a well-ordered universe where everything has its place, there are, for man, no possibilities of an escape from himself, except into the strange and inhospitable universe of his own mind. There he may wander in realms of ice or sink in the vast quicksands of the night. There he may crouch in the dark, listening to the great subterranean river of death and creation flowing beneath his feet. In a well-ordered world, only the hidden and monstrous, under the cover of night, may find a place in which they can survive. They are dark things, the monsters, and always will be. Lauren Isley. I have to admit, visual novels weren't my thing. Until now. I downloaded Cupid only thanks to Faudraline, Lady Storyteller. Her differentiated review made me curious. I recommend to the intellectually inclined player to be inspired by Faudraline's review here to play this visual novel. Love is both poison and cure, both knife and remedy. Set in 18th century France, Cupid is a gothic romance tale about loss, revenge, and the different faces of love. The story is disturbing and fascinating at the same time. The characters are facetious and complexly fleshed out, and their psychology and development in the non-linear plotline is captivating. The player takes on a split personality of the main character Rosa, and his role is limited to selecting possible answers in conversations between the protagonists. However, these are match decisive for the course, and especially the end of the story. You'll quickly learn that the characters have a mind of their own and act accordingly, even if you don't always agree with their decisions. In the end, I'm left a bit shaken and glad to find out that there are other possible outcomes to the story. I immediately set out to restarting the game and painstakingly clicked through countless dialogue sequences I already knew, until at some point in the second playthrough I discovered the almost transparent skip option at the bottom of the menu, with which one can comfortably click through the conversations to the next relevant decision. Just as I mentioned before, virtual novels were not my thing. After several experimental playthroughs and 5 endings, I'm well acquainted with the characters so far and don't remain quite as distraught, but the story would not let me go, and I carried it with me for some time. The story begins in the style of Charles Dickens and Charlotte Bronte, and develops through Anne Rice to almost Lovecraftian dimensions. One should not be put off by the formal, partly childish graphics. In terms of content, the story offers tragedies of Attic proportions. Guillaume, one of the main characters, bears traits of Lasher from the Mayfair Witches trilogy by Anne Rice. I was also reminded of the 1980 film Possession by Andrzej Szulowski, in which the director comes to terms with his failed marriage and allows the viewer to peer into the monstrous abyss of the soul. But despite all the fascination, the adjective disturbing hovers over this game. If love in its purest form is anything to go by, it is not disturbing. But since there are probably only amateurs among humans in matters of love, one must accept this adjective in the present context. However, one is inclined to think the author, I assume it is a woman, men are rather seldom so direct and honest on this subject, to ask, who hurt you so much that you can write so cruelly about love?